7:38 here on this Friday morning, and as every Friday morning, it's time for Friday with the Fuzz, so I'll toss it right on over to Michael Greene.
Thank you, Derek. And in the studio with us today, we have Deputy Police Chief Bill Wolf. We also have Jeff Adam and Jeff's son, Matt. So I want to thank all of you guys for coming in. Matt's in with his Elgin Explorer shirt and off from high school. What high school does he go to, Jeff, since Matt doesn't have a microphone?
He goes to Huntley High School.
You go to Huntley?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent. I didn't know that. That's where my son goes. He's a freshman, though. So, welcome, guys, for coming in. And
good morning.
Bill, like you said last week, after the show, I'll probably be here next week as well. Weren't sure what was going on. I think you had said that there was a strong chance that you'd be here. So wasn't at all surprised when I got the text this morning from Jeff that you would be here. So
yeah, you know, he's back in town, but just kind of giving some other people the opportunity to be on the show, and we enjoy it.
He's breaking up with me. I told him. He said he just needed space, though.
Yeah. Yes, you know, sometimes it makes the heart grow fonder, right?
Right, exactly. Well, anyway, great show with you anyhow, so more than competent fill-in. So
Well, I
thank you
appreciate
very much. A couple things I want to talk about quickly, and then I did want, we have a couple things coming up for not only April, but also May that, Jeff, I think you wanted to speak about, so we'll give that plenty of time. But first, I think it was Tuesday, this past Tuesday, there was a report pretty early on while we were doing traffic one morning that there was a car in the Fox River just south of 90, you know, and we're, whoa, it's like happening right now. It's kind of cool, you know. Pretty soon thereafter, it was reported that nobody was in the car.
Yeah, and you know, when it first came out, you know, those types of things
Scary,
usually come out a little scary, and so, you know, the fire department responded. We had divers in the water pretty quickly. And, you know, it was early, you know, pretty early on that the divers and our police officers that were there made a determination that there was nobody in the car, that the car had just, in fact, it was determined that there was some evidence that the car had been set up to go into the river without anybody in it.
Okay.
And so it started looking like there's something more there other than, you know, somebody in danger. And so there was the divers. One thing that did come across is that after we quickly determined nobody was in the car, the divers just kind of stayed in and helped stabilize the car and help get the car out of the water. And I know that there was some news reporters and some helicopters up and everything, right? and it made it look like, hey, these divers are just there, just you know, not doing anything, and you know, well, why aren't they rescuing the person in the car? Well, there was nobody in the car, and it's, you know, so they were just there, kind of stabilizing the scene, and there was really no emergency issue.
I guess pretty quickly, like you could determine going down and notice that there's no door open or any windows broken.
Exactly.
Visibly see that there's nobody in the car.
Right.
Pretty obvious then, right, that there's nobody to be searching for.
Right.
So.
Yep.
Still though, you know, kind of crazy. And I know right around that same time there was a bicyclist that was hit by a van in Bartlett. I mean, completely out of it.
Right.
So like that morning it was just like, oh, what's going on?
It was a busy morning.
Yeah. It was all traffic related.
Yeah.
So. Well, good to hear that there was nobody in the car, which then leads to the question, I guess, right? Well, why did somebody want to drive a car into the river?
And I can tell you that's an ongoing investigation, something we're definitely looking at. Yep.
Okay. And I know how that goes, so I won't push too much harder on that one. I know that there was a report from Saturday, previous to that, where there was shots fired, and I think some residents had maybe called in and said... And upon investigation, did you guys find shell casings, and then led to more investigation?
Yes, yes, we did, and it was determined that it was a gang-related type shooting. Incidentally, that area right there, it was just a chance meeting of you know, two
person had to be going one way and somebody else going the other, and cross paths, and
they met and exchanged some unpleasant words with each other, and that led to some shots being fired. Luckily, nobody was hit.
I was just going to ask, nobody hurt or hit?
Right, but it was, I mean, still serious incident. We've got some definite suspects in this case, and it's an ongoing investigation, and we hope to make some arrests.
With that, I know, and you always know, right? With anyone with information is asked to contact in the press release when it says Elgin Gang Crimes Unit. That it's not always, right? Because you guys, your gangs unit as well as your drug unit, I believe, work pretty closely hand in hand. So sometimes it might be referenced one way, but
Yes.
you know, so
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. You know, generally when there's some type of an incident and the gang crimes unit is working it, it's a very very good chance that it's a gang related type case.
Yeah.
Yes.
So 847-289-2646 if anyone has information. There's also the anonymous tip line. That is 847-695-4195. And Elgin tip line for texting is 847-411. You put in Elgin PD at the beginning of the message, then followed with the information, and that gets there.
Absolutely.
And I know we've talked about it this, probably to the nth degree, but there's a process when you do that, right? When it goes through there, that it kind of scrubs the information, and
It
you
does.
guys don't know when it comes through on the text where it originated from or the phone number involved.
Exactly.
So, people who are fearful of stepping forward, maybe because for whatever reason, don't have to worry about that through the text line. So
Yeah, it's true. It truly is anonymous, and the thing that's nice about it, even though it's anonymous, because there's a third party that's regulating this, we can actually text back to the person and send them a text because it goes through this third party, and we don't even know who we're texting, but we can still communicate and try to get more information if they choose to engage in that communication with us.
That's useful information.
Yeah.
Jeff, I know you're here and wanted to talk a little bit about, first of all, so Matt's with you. He's got an Elgin Explorer's jersey on. Not jersey, but his shirt. I thought that was pretty cool. And we talked last week about, it might have been off air too, about the Explorers and, a couple, it was a telecommunicator week, and he
Yes.
had been an Explorer.
Absolutely right.
And there was another individual also on the Elgin Police Department who had started out as an Explorer, and both hired on within a few months of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Matt with us today, and maybe you could talk a little about the Explorer program, Jeff.
Yeah, the Police Explorer program has been around since 1978, and it's fluctuated in numbers over the years. Right now, we're currently at about 50 to 60 Police Explorers with varying degrees of commitment. Some are there all the time, and then some come about every other week or so.
All the time, meaning?
Every week we have a meeting, and it's every Wednesday from 7 p.m. till 9 p.m.
Okay.
at the police department. And it's geared toward youths between the ages of 14 up to 21 years of age. And if they're interested in law enforcement or they're interested in, getting into maybe the courts or probation, it's a good stepping stone to get into it, because getting into police work's a very highly competitive field, and this opens up a lot of doorways for them.
What do they do for those 2 hours on Wednesday nights from 7 to 9?
It varies, but generally it centers around training. The training focuses on obviously every aspect of police work, but then we also bring in guest speakers from like the FBI and the DEA. The King County State's Attorney's Office has always been great in coming in and helping us out. We'll have the K-9 officers there, our TRT team. So, and then, detectives and basically every division you could possibly imagine. And then
Touches the program in one way or another over the course of, how long is it? I mean,
it
every
runs,
week it could go for 6
Yeah,
years,
the only-
technically, right?
Yeah, the only time we take off is we'll take off right around Christmas time, and usually right the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. We usually take that off too, because a lot of people are out of town. But otherwise, we'll do it 50 weeks a year.
Wow.
So, and then some of the kids go to state and national competitions, and they actually do extra training too. So they'll come in an extra 2 hours in, so they're doing another 4 hours of training.
So what kind of competition statewide do they?
Well, last year we went to state, and we were pretty successful. We ended up bringing home 7 different trophies.
And so I'm curious, because to me I thought that they were kind of going and sitting down and being lectured to for 2 hours on policing, and then there's a competition which consists of what?
Well, there's different competitions. Like they'll practice like a domestic violence scenario, for example. So they'll go and they'll have to do some crisis negotiation there.
15-year-old.
Yes. I know it's amazing
Wow.
because at 15 I was playing video games.
Or
Yeah.
just kind of brooding in your room,
Yeah.
doing nothing.
Yeah,
How you doing? Good.
Yeah, exactly.
I got one right now.
But it's amazing what these kids could do, and beyond all the training that they do a ton of volunteer time. Last year alone, we did 73 different details, and we did over 2,700 hours of volunteer time within the community.
Wow.
So, they're helping out a lot for the police department, because they help man a lot of things that normally we would have used either police officers or CSOs for traffic direction, and now we have explorers who are trained, in traffic direction, help out, or crowd control, whatever it might be. So it definitely helps the police department out, and also in the community too. Like every other Friday, our kids are at the local soup kitchens, helping out with the homeless and everything else. So, they do a lot. This weekend, we worked with Gail Borden Library when they had that walk that they had, and they help out Foxtrot, the 4th of July parade, the concerts that the Grand Victoria has and stuff. So they're all over the place.
What were the 7 trophies that were brought home? Do you remember off the top of your head? Sorry, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Yeah,
7's a lot to ask.
Yeah, it is.
Throw a few out there.
Well, we got trophies in domestic violence. They have this thing, it's called Hogan's Alley, which is a search warrant, executing a search warrant, and they got first place in that. We got Post of the Year, which was the best award I think we got. It's a very prestigious award out of, there was almost 100 posts there, and we got the best post, which was really kind of neat.
I think one of the things that's really important about that is that kind of really hits on the fact that not only these kids are learning a lot, and like Jeff said, that this a 15-year-old doing domestic violence, it's really teaching them significant leadership, and they've become truly leaders in their in our community, and leaders at their schools, and the volunteer work they're doing, it just really teaches them to be good all-around citizens as well. And I think that award they got was probably one of the best awards we got, because that speaks to the character.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we're very proud of it. I mean, it was great getting all the other awards. One of the awards, in fact, like one of our kids, Beck Blair, he's actually going to Pepperdine University right now. But he got first place for the highest rating score in the state, so that was kind of cool too. So that was neat getting that award, but that award...
He's a Pepperdine kid, though. I don't know how much Explorers had to do with that.
Yeah.
Just saying.
No.
It's a pretty prestigious school.
He's a sharp kid. I'll probably be working for him someday. So, but, I'm very proud of him and everything else. But we're constantly, as the kids get older, they move on, going away to college and stuff, like in Beck's case. So we're constantly recruiting for the Explorer post, too. So if anyone's interested, all they got to do is show up at the police department on a Wednesday at 7 p.m. and ask for the Explorer program, and we pretty much open arms, taking it.
Is there a maximum number of students that you'll take in a?
No, we actually had our technical investigations unit wire up the room right next to it. So if we have overflow, we actually can put the kids in that room too.
Wow.
So we're set to take at least up to about 100 kids.
Do they get to go on the Centronics range?
Yes, actually they've done that too. Yeah, and the kids actually will shoot. The kids that have FOID cards.
I was just going to ask, so they have to have a FOID card.
Yeah, they have to have FOID cards, so, but they'll shoot down in competitions too.
Wow.
So we still we can't compete with Border Patrol. Those kids can shoot like crazy. So they in the national competition, out of the top 50 shooters in the country, they took about 25 of them. So
wow.
They were very good. So.
Well, that's pretty interesting. Good, yeah.
And just kind of crossing over, we're talking about community service stuff, and this kind of segues into the traffic part of things. One of the things, too, that kids have been doing is distracted driving campaigns for us. We've been handing out texting bans for the kids in the high schools, and the Explorers have been in uniforms in the schools, the high schools, and handing out distracted driving pamphlets to our kids, because obviously that's one of the larger groups that we target for distracted driving. Yeah. And it's part of this traffic safety challenge that we've been working on over the past year. We submitted to IDOT to hopefully get some more grant funding down the line.
So I have a new position at my full-time job where I do a lot of driving, and I'm traveling on the highways a lot. 290, 355, all the way down to like Route 80. Right. Illinois 80. I see it every day, all day long. People either talking on their phone, held up to their head, or texting, or whatever they're doing. You can see them, right? And I'm not entirely sure what they're doing, but it looks like they're either texting or emailing or something like that. What can I do? What can average Joe citizen? I mean, should I be calling 911 and reporting it, getting a license plate? I mean, by that time,
distracted driving.
So instead, I just swear at him and kind of swerve toward him. No, I don't really. I'm just kidding, but I want to.
Usually, the healthy glare gets their attention. But, it is a huge issue. They estimate that somewhere between 25% and 1/3 of all accidents are related to distracted driving. So, it's a huge thing. And when you look at it, too, I mean, roads are getting safer, cars are getting safer. There's a lot more technology out there, but still, our accidents are going up in a certain regard, and that's because of distracted driving. Yeah. So we've been very aggressive in that campaign, and actually our police department this year alone has written approximately 400 tickets for it. So, and that's in the first quarter, so that's pretty good for going after this problem. But it's important that people realize that no phone call is worth someone's life, and on average, it's 5 seconds is how long people take their eyes off the road when they're actually looking at their phone. So 5 seconds, especially in an urban area like this, is a lot of time. So
yeah, travel 75 and close your eyes for 5 seconds and see what happens.
Exactly.
I mean, it's just
and that's really what it is. I mean, if people want to do it, close your eyes for 5-10 seconds.
Yeah.
See where you.
We're not condoning that. We're not telling you to do that. Anybody who might be listening, but it's Jude is a passenger. I mean, if you're sitting there and just close your eyes for a few seconds and you'd be surprised at how much further you've gone down the road. And,
absolutely.
Without even realizing it. It goes so quickly. And my first inclination when I see this was, when I first saw, I should snap a picture of that. Well, then I'm not any better than that, right? I mean,
and then that's kind of the whole problem with it is you can't call in on it because then you're, almost committing the same offense.
Right, unless you do have Bluetooth that's voice activated or something, I've got.
But then,
speed dials,
by the time you get there, you got the police response, everything else.
It's difficult to manage and monitor and uphold that law, because how do you prove any?
Right.
If it's app based that somebody is sending a text, it's not. I don't know. Maybe that's a good question. Well, if something's app based, right? If it's on an application on the phone and it's a messaging application, is that time and date stamp still available to you as a text message?
No, I actually think what you're doing is you're probably reading into this a little bit too much. It's basically having the cell phone in your hand.
Right.
That's good enough at that point. I mean, so that's good enough for us to write a ticket to someone. So we don't necessarily have to show that they're on Facebook or Twitter or whatever else. I mean, the officer may ask the traffic violator, but we don't have to prove that. So. But it is important. It is a public awareness campaign. We've been doing that, and obviously, with the enforcement. And when you look at like seatbelt usage, that's a perfect example. You go back in the '80s, and there was really no one using seatbelts. Now seatbelt compliance is about 93%. So
I still sometimes have to think, 2 or 3 times about it, before I leave because just not used to it. We grew up in that era where.
My mom used to have me stand in the front seat without a seat.
Right. Like
maybe that's something.
We used to take those long road trips out west and lay across the back seat, lay on the cars were much bigger, lay across the back area of the car under in the window sill basically.
Yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
So it's going to take a little bit, but I think eventually those accidents related to distracted driving will go down, and hopefully people realize that Twitter or that Facebook or whatever it might be can just wait a few more minutes until you get stopped.
It's just not worth it, right? With distracted driving, Cinco de Mayo coming up, and I know you were mentioning earlier, I know it's a big holiday for drinking, and it seems like anytime there's one of those kind of holidays, and for whatever reason, all the holidays seem to kind of fall into that category now.
Yeah.
As someone who doesn't drink a whole lot, I just, okay, I understand people do it, but you'll be doing an enforcement at that point?
Yes, we're going to be having extra DUI campaigns out for Cinco de Mayo, as we do for most major holidays. We have grants through IDOT and also through our regular enforcement, and we focus to lower the accidents that are caused by DUIs by doing strict DUI enforcement.
Bill, is there concrete numbers at all that say? I know a lot of this is funded through the state or federal grants and different things like that. Are there numbers ever that come back? Do you have to report on and say, hey, we utilized this much in federal grant money and it produced this many results? I mean, because ultimately you want zero arrests and zero tickets, but at that point you're not going to get too much federal funding or state funding after a couple of years of zero.
Exactly, right? And all the grants that we get are actually highly regulated. They have auditors that come out, and it's.
Do they come out on those weekends?
Actually,
sometimes can they?
Yeah, our grant guy that works for IDOT, his name is Scott Christensen, and actually our last roadside safety check, he was actually out there, inspecting it, and he also was videotaping it too. He was actually really pleased with it. So. But our grants are all handled by Ron Spacer, who's on our traffic unit, and he does a ton of paperwork, and he has to submit all the numbers to the state as far as how many minutes we spend on it, how many arrests we have, and they really are very meticulous in the record keeping on that.
And you guys never report on where it's going to be, right? You never say it's going to be at these 4 intersections.
No, all we have to
Does
do
that
is say
defeat the purpose completely of it?
Yeah, all we need to do is say it's in the Elgin area to meet the legal requirements, and that's it.
Car burglaries, I know we've got a couple minutes. Can we talk about that? I know the weather's getting nicer, and I was reading a report the other day that somebody was looking, I think it was in South Elgin, a kid got arrested, and the report stated that he was looking for Dairy Queen coupons. That's what it said. Who knows? Maybe, right?
That's news to me.
He wasn't looking for cash or anything. Dairy Queen coupons.
It's getting warmer.
Yeah,
it is.
right.
You go for a, what do they
Frosty,
call
I
them?
think.
Yeah.
No, it's not Frosty. It's something else.
Blizzard.
Blizzard.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
Well, and this is something else. We've actually had a few car burglaries recently in Elgin, and we've been lucky that we got some good arrests on those. And a couple of those were thanks to citizens that saw things and called in. And so just wanted to stress again that for us to really stop this problem, we need the help of our citizens in Elgin. And if you see suspicious people walking around the neighborhood or eyeing cars or whatever, please call us immediately. We had at one of the Chiefs monthly meetings, it was actually towards the end of fall. We had somebody there that's normally a very involved citizen, and they were telling us about how they saw some suspicious kids walking around cars and just like, I don't know if I should have called, and they didn't call, and it turned out that there was several burglaries that occurred, and if that one call had come in, that might have stopped it or led to us making an arrest. Exactly. And so we're just really want people to if they can do the best they can to help us and call these things in, and then. As a reminder, we keep stressing our If You Like It, Lock It campaign. The vast majority of these burglaries occur on cars that are left unlocked with valuables inside. And it's just a simple thing. Take your valuables out of the car and lock the doors.
And that's what they do, right? In a very urban setting, more so, where they'll walk down the street and they just kind of
keep trying the car doors. And
if it's locked, they move on. Right. And if it's open...
Right.
They look around, see if anybody's around, and then if not, they're in the car.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you figure, if they're walking around and let's say 1 out of 10 cars is open, they're doing pretty good for themselves. And it's just a very simple step. Just the easiest thing is get the valuables out of the car, and then just lock the door.
Yeah, we still have people that leave their cell phone or their purse on plain view, and that's just ringing the car.
Leave
dinner
their work
bell
laptop
for the
sitting on the
Right,
passenger
right.
seat.
Yeah, it's just ringing the dinner bell. So.
Bad. Jeff, I wanted to touch real quick again, and we're finishing up. If someone does want to join the Explorer program, they have more questions about that, best to just come down to the department? Is there a general number?
Yeah, they could call me at my desk phone at 847-289-2531. That's 847-289-2531. Or just come down to the police department on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and myself or one of the other advisors will be there also.
Great.
Jeff, did you want to mention real quick the bowling fundraiser? Is that?
Oh yeah, we're actually doing our bowling fundraiser today at Elgin Lanes, and we're hoping to raise money for the Post so that they could go to Nationals competition later in July. So if anyone wants to stop by, we still have about 2 lanes open. It's $30, and you get to bowl 3 games. You get your shoes, and you get awesome food.
And where's this at?
Elgin Lanes.
Elgin Lanes at what time again? Sorry.
It'll be 6 o'clock.
Okay.
6 o'clock tonight. Yeah.
Elgin Lanes, 6 o'clock tonight. $30.
Yep.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you
for good information this week. And Derek, I think we're all set.
Yeah, we are.